of May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so we wanted to bring a little bit of a more serious video for this episode.
Yeah, law enforcement and first responders come across a lot of common stressors. It's important that we learn how to deal with those stressors on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and really for the general public as well. We all, as people, deal with a lot of different stressors in our lives. No stressor is too small or too big. We can all deal with those. I'm Officer Avendaño.
Officer Watson.
And welcome to our channel, Positive Blues.
Positive Blues. So when I was in SCAT, which is our Special Community Action Team, I was always the RAM person when we went in for search warrants. And being the RAM person, you're the first one at the door. And so I always vision things going right, but always envision things going wrong also. And so not knowing what's on the other side of the door can be pretty scary and traumatic, especially if things were to go wrong.
So how'd you deal with that?
Just envision it in my mind, go through it. Always kept a good workout regimen. That's why I'm the RAM, because I'm a big guy. But really just try to detach from everything that I do on the job once I'm off.
So, and one of the things that officers always deal with too is that constant preparation for battle. Every beginning of every shift, before you get to your station or bureau or for other places outside of Wichita, sectors or whatever they call their beat that they work, you're sitting there putting your uniform on, but you're preparing for battle. You're checking, making sure that you can draw your weapon in case you need it. You're checking to make sure that all your equipment's in the right place, that everything's functional. It's just that constant, even though you might not have to face that life or death battle, you're constantly preparing for that. So you're always in that constant, just ready to go to war, even though you might not.
And you have to, because there may be one of those days, and it's happened, where that officer got prepared for battle but didn't come home. So
right.
Yeah, and always being hyper vigilant. One of my old supervisors said, "This job will change you," and he was right. And I've changed the way that I think, changed the way that I do things when I'm off duty. Even though, I'm not on duty or actively looking for somebody, I'm always vigilant and watching my surroundings because you never know who recognizes me outside of uniform.
So yeah, you sit in a restaurant differently, you drive differently. Mm-hmm. You're constantly searching and looking. You see things that you didn't see before. So it's pretty stressful. I went on a trip with my wife to Vegas for her birthday, and just being in that large crowd was super stressful for me, because I was constantly looking, and she just kept saying just relax, just enjoy. But I couldn't. I just couldn't shut that off anymore.
And see, for me, being out of town in a different environment, I'm able to relax more, because a lot of people recognize me here in town, and so I have to be pretty vigilant. But when I'm out of town, nobody really knows me, so I'm able to relax a little more.
And then you say this thing all the time, but when people call 911...
Oh yeah, they don't call us because it's their birthday.
Right. It's
normally the worst day of their lives, and so there could be a call that we go to, and somebody's child is hit by a car or somebody's murdered. But then we can also get a call where somebody just wants us to talk to their kid and be nice to them. And so the roller coaster effect of our emotions can get the best of us too. After a 10-hour shift, you're exhausted emotionally.
Yeah. So you really do have that roller coaster of emotion. And then it's also that constant, because we are going to their people's worst days of their lives a lot of times. We are exposed to that repeated stress, call after call after call. Sometimes it's not the most stressful call, but like you said, yeah, we have that roller coaster along with that constant repeated stress that we're exposed to.
Yep, and when we're exposed to trauma, it's a such thing called a secondary trauma that we don't even know that we're suffering from or that we're getting from a lot of these calls. And just little bit by little bit, and after 10, 17 years for me, it starts to take a toll on you.
Right. And then we also got to remember too, with our current times and the way things have been going really since, I feel like about, for me, 2016 is when things really started to change in law enforcement. We had things going on all over our country, but then also here. But at the same time, here in the more recent years, everyone has a smartphone, everyone has social media, access to the internet. So officers now are facing this constantly scrutinized. They're constantly being watched. Not that didn't happen before, but now you have everybody recording, and they might not really know what they're even recording. And it's missing a whole bunch of what occurred before. So, but
And even after.
right.
Yeah.
But then being constantly scrutinized and judged, and you have something that you have to make a decision, and it's a split-second decision, then you're second-guessing yourself. Did I make the right decision? Did I make the right choice? Somebody just watched me do this. They're going to think I did the wrong thing. They're going to post this video. Am I going to be on the news next? So that's a huge stress, I feel like, right now in law enforcement, just that constantly being misjudged.
Yeah, and the split-second decisions that we have to make, everybody has an eternity to scrutinize. And so that's a lot of pressure to do something in a split second, knowing that whatever decision you make will be scrutinized for the rest of your life.
Right. So what can you do to deal with a lot of the stress that we're exposed to?
So it's good to have a good support system. So friends, family, people that you trust, that you can really confide in. Because if you don't have that daily person that you can talk to, then sometimes that stress will build up.
And that can be family, friend, or a coworker. Maybe somebody that's experienced the same thing. You can talk to them about what you're going through, right?
And it's good to have friends that do the job and friends that don't do the job. And a lot of times with my friends that aren't in law enforcement, I tell them, hey, today we're not going to talk about law enforcement. And they respect that.
Yeah, that's pretty important. Another thing to do is maintaining a healthy lifestyle. You talk about one of the ways you deal with it is working out. So
Working out, I love to work out. I love to eat too, but I love to work out. And yoga is probably my number one. Lifting weights, I do a little bit of jogging, but I try to do at least some kind of 20-minute to an hour workout 5 to 6 days a week.
And maintaining a healthy lifestyle too is important because that is also helping your body stay in a better place. It helps your mind. It kind of balances out your chemical imbalances that you may have in your brain or going on in your own body. So that's always good. It's also pretty important to get enough sleep, enough rest so that your mind can recharge, which that's a tough thing to do. And I spent almost 12 years on night shift.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get good sleep when you're on nights.
And what people don't realize, nights was my favorite shift, 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. But like you said, if you don't have a good routine, if you can't get enough rest, one of the things that was hard for me, court is during the day. And so, you have to go home, get rest, but then you're called into court. Sometimes you're needed, sometimes you're not. People who have regular schedules, they forget that you're on nights, they call you, different things like that interrupt your sleep. And so there were sometimes going into work at 9 p.m., I was extremely fatigued. Imagine staying up till 7 in the morning. So.
And another thing too, that really this is something that as cops we all need to stop doing, and it's that stigma of talking to a professional, seeking professional help. That's also really important. And it's not just in our jobs, but also in some cultures too.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of Hispanic people feel that way, where they don't believe in seeking professional help, and it's something that you're just gonna get over it. You're just having a bad day. You're gonna be fine, right? And it's important for us, right, to help each other out and to know that just because you have to go seek professional help doesn't mean that you're weak or that you're not strong enough or that you can't do this job, because it's we're all people at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I started this job when I was 22 years old. So at that age, you think you're invincible. You don't need sleep. You don't need to talk to anybody. You're a man, suck it up, basically. And as I've gotten older, I've realized, just what that supervisor told me. I've changed. Sometimes I'm less talkative, or I'm more tired, or I don't want to be bothered with people. And really, man, me naturally, I have a fun personality, and so if I feel any different, then something's going on with me, and I don't always know why. It could be tired, maybe not getting enough water, little things like that. But it's good to have that professional to put you back in your place.
Right. And then what you mentioned, that also made me think of, if you notice that your friend or your coworker or somebody, for us, your fellow officers, that they're having a day like that, and you notice that there's something different, say something. They might be struggling with talking about it or how to bring it up. So it always helps to be like, hey man, what's going on? We've been through that in our regular in our regular days. Like, what's going on today? So what's another thing? Hobbies, man. That's my favorite.
Yeah, you're the hobby guy.
Hobbies.
Fun is my hobby.
Yeah.
Well,
my fun is riding motorcycles. I do a little bit of yoga at home at the end of the night, just to try to relax, shut my mind down. But I like to draw, play guitar. I kind of like to do a lot of little different things, and that helps kind of get me away from the real world just for a minute. Just help me recharge, help me think, and kind of rebalance in a way. So for me, hobbies are what helps keep me sane. And riding my motorcycle, that's really my therapy.
You see, I enjoy sports, watching sports, specifically basketball. But growing up, I used to love playing the keyboard. So I kind of want to get into playing the piano again. Think I should do it?
Do it.
All right.
And then another thing that I think is really important, that not just to deal with stress, but something that we all should do, we tend to always focus on the negative. So if you take 10 minutes of every day just to focus on the positives, like focus on what's going good for you, what you've done well, your achievements, where you're headed, just focus on all positive things going on in your life. 10 minutes of each day, that just helps turn your negative mindset into a more positive mindset and be able to be successful.
Yeah, being mindful, meditating, things like that. So some of the things that the department does for officers when we talk about stress, stressors, all that stuff, we have what's called our Critical Incident Stress Management Team, CISM, and it's something that I became interested in back in 2015. I was asked to go through a train-the-trainer for mental health first aid, where we talk to officers about citizens and mental health, because that was a big thing back then. But once I really got into the training, I realized that we could benefit from it more as officers. And when we talked about seeing our officers who are down or who aren't acting the same, that's kind of what that mental health first aid was for us. We could kind of assess, see something that was wrong, and kind of give that first aid until we could get professional help. But after going through the mental health first aid, I then wanted to be part of our critical incident stress management team. And so it's about 16 to 20 officers. We have a sergeant who is the commander, and he reports directly to the chief, he or she. And so when there's any kind of traumatic event involving officers, so line of duty deaths, somebody getting hurt seriously, talks of suicide, anything like that, Then we come in and we either defuse the situation, or if it's something like an officer-involved shooting, within a week we'll have a debrief where everybody sits in a circle and kind of talks about everything that's gone on. So, and it keeps me busy because we've been busy on this department for the last several years with officer-involved shootings and things like that. So, but it's very beneficial. I feel like I am helping our department when I go in and sit with the officers. Some are young, some have been on longer than I have. And so it's a good way to get to know officers and get to know them personally.
And another thing that our department offers is the impact, which I've actually personally taken advantage of. It's free of charge to the officers, and it also includes your family. So I've used them personally, and then my daughter was involved in a kind of a traumatic experience, so we've used it for her. And then I've used it for my wife and I, for us to be able to work, through some issues and make sure that we're good.
Yeah. Because one thing about our work, sometimes we bring it home. And so officers and marriage, it's really hard. So we need to take advantage of all that. And also yoga for first responders. When people talk about yoga, and I talked about yoga, it's more than just stretching. It's mental and physical and spiritual, if you want it to be. And so when we talked about the 10 minutes of something positive, at the end of every yoga practice or session, you have what's called shavasana, where you kind of relax, you meditate, and you just really take the stressors of the world out of your body through breathing, through positive thinking, what have you. And so it's very beneficial for me and for other officers who are involved in it.
Okay, so I got to editing the video and I realized that I was getting way too long on it. We were over 30 minutes for what we had for you. So we're gonna make it into 2 parts. So just remember to reach out if you ever need something. We're here for you.
We're here for you. We care. Make sure you guys come back to part 2 to see what's near and dear to my heart and what's really changed my life.
Make sure you subscribe so you can see what we got coming up in future videos. Hit the like button, help us out by sharing the video, and throw down some comments down below. Positive blues.
Positive blues.
I like to barbecue with my family and friends.
Playing golf.
Cooking and creating recipes.
I like to read and take classes at Wichita State University, mainly history classes. And also my wife and I like to spend time on the lake.
My hobby is long distance running.
I like to go traveling, I like to ride my motorcycle, and I like to do woodworking.
Just working out, brother.
Fishing. Hanging out with my family.
I continue to work out. I have a physical workout regime, and I try to get into the gym every day and run every day.
Board games.
Work it out.
Horses.
Work out.
Working out and fitness.